Well, I think we have to recognize today, if we look back, that Robert Schuman, the former French foreign minister, had a very visionary idea of what Europe could become after the Second World War. This was just 5 years after the war. And he had this vision that to join German and French coal and steel industries and to make it the nucleus of a European Union. And this is what became reality. So we worked together initially with 6 member states on coal and steel, and then this idea and this project has grown so much that we have today 27 member states and are much stronger and a much more solidary union. Well, over the last 70 years, of course, we had to reform many times, and some reforms were due to changes, like the IT sector. It was a completely new sector, so you had to adapt all kinds of things to this new technology. I mean, legally, and the online shopping and all this is all new. That was one way of reforms we did. Another one was, of course, all the reforms that were connected to the European integration. You know, we shared sovereignty with other member states and with the Union as a whole, and this needed to be translated into German law and into our system. So this is another strand of reforms that we took. And the third one, and I think these were very important ones for us as well, were the reforms that took place after the German reunification. We had 2 different German states to merge, and all kinds of systems needed to be adapted to each other, and that was, of course, a very big reform effort. Well, I think, you know, many investors, German investors, for instance, they tell us that the skills they need for their employees, they don't always match the skills that the workforce in Moldova has. So this is a way to bring together what the companies need and what the people can do, and it's a very practical way of doing it. There is, of course, the theoretical part, which takes part in the professional schools, but there's also the training in the companies, and the companies invest in this. I mean, they pay the trainees during the time of the training, and they see it an investment as future employees, people who will work for them in the future. And I think it's good for both sides. I think there are big opportunities here. We need, of course, to ensure that there's a quality standard, and there is the Chamber of Commerce in the Republic of Moldova is the authority that the competent authority who ensures that quality standards, and we need to ensure that diplomas are recognized. All of this needs to be, of course, needs to work together. I think, first of all, this program has to become better known still. As you said, it was introduced in 2014, step by step. We have now 80 companies who take part and more than 1,200 trainees who take part. And there are 40 different professions that can be are taught in this way, and the training is organized for 40 different professions in this way. So it's a step-by-step effort, and I think what is important is that the institutions work together with the companies, because it has to go hand in hand, the public aspect of this and what the companies need. That needs to be integrated in a way that it's beneficial for everybody, and that is also attractive to the young people who want to seek employment in these companies. It's very obvious to me, at least, that we are stronger together. And this pandemic, if we needed something to show it, this pandemic has shown us that we need to work together. It doesn't stop at any borders. It catches all of us at some point. And the best we can do is join our efforts to find vaccines, to find medication, to give the best treatment to all people, the best treatment possible to all people. It doesn't catch us all at the same time, so there is some things we can do to help one another. And to give you just one example, I mean, the European Commission just this week organized a big donor event for the research, joint research on a vaccine against the virus. And One of the aims is to have a joint research effort and then to make this vaccine, once it's found, to make it equally available to everybody. So countries that don't have the possibility to do their own research, and they don't need to do their own research because we can do it jointly, we can do it much better, and we can share our results and for the benefit of everybody. It is important to integrate these people, but I'm not entirely sure whether the Hartz IV reforms can be transferred from Germany directly to Moldova. I think we have different preconditions here. They were helpful in our country, but we have a different economy, a different social system, and it was very much about reforming our social system, which is quite strong and which is quite elaborate, and we don't exactly have the same preconditions here. So I think the reforms will be necessary also in Moldova, and I think the World Bank is helping to do them, but maybe in a slightly different way. But as you mentioned, it will be important to integrate the workforce and to use the skills that the people who came back to Moldova bring to this country, to use them to create more opportunities, employment, businesses, and if this is possible and if the authorities can create an environment conducive to this effort, it will be very helpful. Maybe two messages. The first is we all need to adapt to this crisis, and we all need to respect the conditions that we have. We need to respect social distancing, the hygiene, and all these. This will be necessary for all of us to get back to a more normal life as soon as possible. And it will be our way of life for some months to come, I think. The better we all of us do that, and the more responsibility all of us take to protect ourselves, to protect our neighbors, to protect the vulnerable people, the better it will be for everybody. And the second message maybe would be this crisis can bring opportunities. I don't think that everything will go back to what it was before. I mean, we have seen now that it's difficult in a crisis to procure medical equipment, medicines, especially if the transport routes are interrupted and so on. So there might be things that we want to produce nearer to home. And the Republic of Moldova, being just on the border of the European Union, might have big opportunities here as well. I mean, it remains to be seen, but I think we should try to find the opportunities in this crisis. Împreună, puternici, that's what the EU always says. Thank you.